Welcome to Radio Static Productions. Here's Chapter 3 of Singing the Blues, a Sammy Spencer Interview with Danger series. Sammy and Ralph crossed the street and onto the sidewalk and started towards the Blue Lagoon. Since it was still daylight, they had decided to walk the 6 blocks downtown and take the time to enjoy the weather and to talk. "So," Ralph said, "what's the plan?" Sammy said, "Well, I'd like to find Pamela Rose, talk to her, and get any information I can about Tommy and Joey Sarducci. I want you to keep your eyes and ears open and watch out for trouble. The Blue Lagoon is blue because besides singing, the performers do dance, and it does get pretty risque, or so I'm told. So just be there for protection, and also look around." Ralph nodded, and as they walked, they were looking in store windows and checking for any wartime specials they could find. Finally, they arrived at their destination. Ralph stopped abruptly and stared at a marquee sign that read, "Back by popular demand. Pamela Gypsy Rose. 2 weeks only." Also on the sign was a picture of a beautiful, dark-haired woman, dressed in a bright flamenco-style dress, a flowered headdress, and plenty of costume jewelry. She was a real knockout, and Sammy nudged a gawking Ralph, and they headed inside. "Focus," Sammy whispered, and blushing Ralph simply nodded. It was still early, but with the war-imposed midnight curfew, the place was jumping. Laughter, music, and cigarette smoke was all around as people jostled for drinks at the bar, or just bounced from table to table, waiting for the main act to start. Sammy and Ralph pushed their way close to the stairs and found a small 2-person table, and they sat down. A harried, skimpily clad waitress quickly took their drink order and scurried away. "What a madhouse!" Sammy exclaimed. Ralph took out a small picture he had found of Joey Sarducci and showed it to Sammy. Sammy looked it over and handed it back, and they both started scanning the crowd to see if they could locate him. Promptly at 8 p.m., the band stopped, the lights dimmed, the crowd quieted, and the MC walked onto the stage. "The Blue Lagoon is proud to present Pamela Gypsy Rose for your entertainment this evening." Everyone gave a big round of applause, and the band fired up. The stage sashayed the smoothest moving woman Ralph had ever seen. She moved with assured grace, and boy, was she built for speed, Ralph thought. Sammy looked over at Ralph, nudged him, and he turned and looked at her, all smitten by what he was seeing. As she began to sing, Sammy told Ralph to focus on why they were here. Look for Joey or anyone that looks out of place. Ralph nodded, and after a few seconds more of gawking at Pamela, he slowly looked around, scanning faces in the crowd. Pamela sang and danced across the stage. As she drew closer, and on a hunch from Sammy, Sammy pulled out the blue envelope and placed it on the small table, with her fingers holding it down. Pamela glanced over, saw it, and hesitated just a fraction of a moment. Nobody seemed to notice, but Sammy did, and after a second, Pamela, in a big flourish of her song finale, looked right at Sammy, smiled, and gave a quick wink. Sammy smiled back and watched as she finished her act. The applause roared and whistles and hollers abound. Pamela left the stage. Sammy told Ralph that she had made a connection with Pamela and that she wanted to hang around a bit and see what happened. Ralph agreed, and after 10 minutes or so, Pamela came out, and amid claps and well wishes, managed to make her way to Sammy and Ralph's table. Ralph stood up, offered his chair. She smiled at him and sat down, lightly tapped the blue envelope. Her face then turned serious, and she said, "You must be Samantha Spencer. I'm Pamela Rose. And what do we do now?" And that's Chapter 3 of Singing the Blues. Please remember to comment, rate, subscribe, set the notification bell so you don't miss Chapter 4. Thank you so much for listening. This is Radio Static Productions, and now ends our broadcast day.